So many titles. Hi, welcome back to Director's Cuts here at Regal Heights. On Sunday in this series that we've been working on, when we talk about the king of Babylon, which figures prominently in the first 4 chapters of Daniel, there's an awful lot of talk about special events that happen that have all kinds of different titled people there. Satraps, magi, administrators, commanders, prefects, magistrates. Like, what are all these titles and what do these mean from a spiritual point of view and from a actual point of view? Well, I'm hoping to give you a few definitions here today, but ultimately to help you to understand it, so when it comes up next in Scripture, which it will next week, that we make sure that we are having a proper understanding that titles are not something we, the Christians, should seek. God will give it in due time. Remember, God opposes the proud but gives grace to the humble. He exalts the humble and humbles the exalted. And so there will be positions of authority and power that God will use Christians in, but we are not to be the person that seeks the title for our own glory. We're to seek the glory of God, and if He so bestows us a platform to use it on, then we will do so faithfully, just like Daniel did. So first of all, you would have heard the word satrap in this. Satrap simply means a lower magistrate. It would mean like if there's a king in one area and said, you're going to be an official in this city over here for me, kind of like an ambassador today is what that would be. The same with prefects and magistrates. Those are just different levels of city structure, whereas Babylon was spread out of many different provinces and individual kingdoms overruled in Babylon. We learned that administration can be numerous things, from being a cupbearer, which, by the way, so many people think a cupbearer in the ancient world was just the wine taster. He was the wine taster, but he was the highest official in the court of the king. He looked over the affairs, the personal affairs of the king. And so overlooking the baker, overlooking his security, overlooking his household, and overlooking his personal affairs. It was second or third most important position in most places in most ancient kingdoms. And so to ensure that the one who was in charge of it all was telling the truth, that he would taste the king's food ahead of time to prove that he had done his job. So he wasn't just some mere peasant there sipping stuff for the king of no importance. That person was a very high official, and in some places I find in the ancient world end up being the second most paid person in Egypt and in Babylon, different places that I have looked. And then in Babylon, there's things like astrologers that are said to be like the magi. Magi means wise man, and that can be someone who is like an elder, but also someone who's like the scientist and yet the priesthood, all kind of wrapped into one, because they believed heavily a lot in trying to figure out things like telling time, using water drip to tell time, and looking at the stars and the signs of the sky to be able to help them. The Babylonians are the one that invented the pagan zodiac. This is why we do not go for our sign or our horoscope. It was invented to serve foreign gods, and we serve the one true God. And so many of the other ones are pretty self-explanatory, like magistrates would be like a mayor of a certain area, where we have different levels of government, from ambassador to a provincial government, for example, the premier or a mayor. Most of those are just different nobility classes like that, overseeing groups of people for different purposes and different areas. And of course, the army would have had their own little structure as well. So with that, I hope that I gave you the funny names up first, that each of those you can understand that these were when officials that governed the affairs of the entire province, the entire empire, from a kingly nobility point of view, from a priestly point of view, from an education point of view, from a military point of view, and from a civil government point of view. So really what that's saying is everybody who was making this place work was there at these certain times. We'll learn a bit more about them later, so this is why it's important for you to know these definitions here today. But remember, God opposes the proud but gives grace to the humble. He will give you your title. Don't seek it for yourself. Thank you for tuning in. God bless you. Have a great day.